Now, some of you already know that Barcelona had hired the former referee Jose Maria Enriquez Negreira as a consultant for the club so he can produce reports about referees. This is a very common practice in La Liga. All big clubs have former referees as consultants that help them, understand how certain referees rule, how certain football rules are applied, etc. So Barcelona hired Enriquez Negreira as a consultant from the years 2001 to 2018, where they paid him a total of 7 million euros over that 17-year window. Now, the problem is that at the same time that Barcelona had hired Negreira, he was also the vice president of the committee of referees. So this, of course, prompted the prosecutor's office to launch an investigation into Barcelona, and charges were filed against Barcelona for corruption because the allegations were that Barcelona had bribed referees or influenced matches through Enriquez Negreira. So in other words, Barcelona hired this guy, they give him money, he gives it to the referees rule in favor of Barcelona, and that's what they were charged with. After months of investigation, the prosecutor's office did not find any evidence of this, no evidence of bribery, no evidence of Barcelona influencing matches, none of that. So the prosecutor's office decided to change that investigation. But this did not sit well with the judge presiding over the case, whose name is Joaquin Aguirre. This guy did not like that the prosecutor's office had not found any evidence of Barcelona bribing referees directly. So instead, he came up with a new hypothesis and said, okay, well, maybe Barcelona didn't bribe referees directly, paying them cash. Maybe instead they bribed them through the promotion system, saying that Enriquez Negreira would promote referees from the second or third to the first division. In exchange for this promotion, these referees would rule in favor of Barcelona. Well, that hypothesis did not last long because it was immediately found out that Enriquez Negreira had no power over promotions or demotions. In fact, he had an honorary title. His title as vice president of committee of referees was completely honorary. He was one out of three vice presidents of the committee of referees. He didn't even get paid for that position. So he had absolutely no power of the committee of referees. So that hypothesis also failed. And the judge was once again found, without any evidence, without any case. So he said, okay, well, we can't prove corruption because there's no evidence of that. Let me come up with a new charge. So he came up with a charge of what? Bribery, which is when an organization pays money to a civil servant, and that automatically counts as bribery because we know for sure that Barcelona paid Enriquez Negreira 7 million euros over the span of 17 years. Of course, Barcelona say this is for the reports. This judge is saying, well, it doesn't matter what it's for. What matters is that Barcelona paid Negreira, and therefore that is bribery. Now, what's the problem with these new charges? Is that they cannot stick because in order for bribery to stick, the person you're paying has to be a civil servant, a judge, maybe someone that works for the government, a mayor, etc. Guess what? The committee of referees is a private entity. Jose Maria Enriquez Negreira, as the vice president of the committee of referees, he was a private individual working for a private entity. So bribery does not work. But nonetheless, this judge, in all his wisdom, I say that sarcastically, decided to change the charges from corruption to bribery because he could not prove corruption. Now, the statute of limitation on bribery is 10 years. Now, you might ask, what's statute of limitation? That's how long you have from when the crime is committed until you can actually bring charges forward. So the statute of limitation is about 10 years, or is 10 years for bribery. So the case was opened in 2023. So the statute of limitation, if you deduct 10 years, that puts you at 2013. So it means all the investigation can be from 2013 to 2023. Anything that can be charged has to be charged for anything that happened during that window. But then this judge decided once again to change his mind, and instead he decided to interpret the statute of limitation in a different way. Instead of counting from 2023, which is when these charges were brought forward, we should count from 2018, which is the last payment that Barcelona made to Negreira. So if you count from 2018, you deduct 10 years, that puts you at where? At 2008. Who was president in 2008? Joan Laporta. So this is why Joan Laporta has now been included in the bribery charges, because the judge decided to change his interpretation of the statute of limitation to have it go instead of from 2013 to 2023 to instead from 2008 to 2018. And of course, Joan Laporta was president from 2002 to 2010. And that is why Joan Laporta is now included in this bribery charges. Now, again, these bribery charges don't make any sense. The person you're paying has to be a civil servant. Negreira is not. But nonetheless, this has not stopped the judge, Juan Aguirre, from bringing these charges forward. And I think it's clear. I think part of why he's doing that is because when the charges were sports corruption, the trial would have been a bench trial. That means the judge would have had to rule on it. But when you change it to bribery, now you have to bring a jury. And I think the judge is doing this because he maybe believes that a jury would be easier to sway. I don't know, because after all, juries don't have to rule based on the evidence. Juries can still rule however they want, where judges are bound by the evidence. And in this case, there's absolutely no evidence of any wrongdoing. But another thing that really makes me angry about this case is that at this point, I don't think the judge even cares about the truth or about investigating anything. I think at this point, the judge is just finding any way possible to find Barcelona guilty. So instead of saying, okay, let's find out what happened, let's investigate the facts. No, he's like, how can we prove that Barcelona are guilty? So he doesn't want to find out whether Barcelona are guilty or not. Yeah, he's already made up his mind, and he just wants to find a way. He was like, let's do sports corruption. Crap, that doesn't work. There was no evidence of bribery. Oh, okay, promotion, demotion. Crap, that didn't work either. Oh, bribery. Ah, crap. Oh, Laporta's not included. Oh, let's change the statute of limitation. And at this point, this judge, what he's doing is playing legal gymnastics in order to reach his conclusion, which is absolutely sickening and disgusting, because this is not what the purpose of the judicial system is. This is not what the purpose of justice should be. The purpose of the judicial system should be about investigating what happened, finding out what happened, and then acting based on that, versus already starting with a conclusion and finding ways to twist the truth and bend the facts in order to reach that conclusion, which is what exactly this disgusting person of a judge is doing.